Throughout history, humanity has experienced moments capable of changing the course of the world in a single instant. Some were captured forever in photographs, images that not only show what happened, but also reveal emotions, struggles, triumphs, and tragedies that still resonate today. In this video, we will explore 9 of the most impactful photographs ever captured. Ready for a journey where these small windows into the past are the protagonists, silent witnesses of history. They have so much to say. Some inspire hope, others pain, but they all share one thing in common. Once you see them, you never forget them. So sit back and get comfortable, because today I present to you 15 images the world will never forget. The famous photograph of the kiss in Times Square, taken on August 14th, 1945, by Alfred Eisenstadt, has become one of the most recognized symbols of the end of World War II. That day, after Japan's surrender was announced, thousands flooded the streets of New York to celebrate the end of a conflict that had marked an entire generation. Amid the commotion, a sailor in dark blue unexpectedly grabbed a young woman dressed in white, who was actually a dental assistant, not a nurse, and kissed her in a spontaneous gesture that was immortalized. For decades, the image was seen as a moment of collective joy, a shared burst of euphoria between two strangers. However, over time, new interpretations emerged. Greta Friedman, who claimed to be the woman in the photo, later stated that it was not a romantic kiss. According to her, the sailor held her too tightly, and the act was more a spontaneous celebration than a consensual moment. Her story, marked by exile after fleeing Nazism and the loss of her parents in the Holocaust, adds a complex background to this iconic image, which continues to spark debate. The burning Hindenburg photograph, attributed to Samuel Schar and possibly also to Charles Hoff, became one of the most striking images of the 20th century. On May 6, 1937, at Lakers Naval Air Station in New York, it depicts the moment when the gigantic German airship LZ-1 Hindenburg caught fire during a landing attempt. Within seconds, the ship, pride of German engineering and a symbol of the golden age of airships, was engulfed in devastating fire. Of the 97 people on board, 36 lost their lives along with a worker on the ground. The image, a silver jello print, was immediately broadcast and accompanied by a historical radio, chronicled by journalist Herbert Morrison. Although there were video recordings, Schar's photograph uniquely captured the chaos and tragedy of the final instant, marking the collective memory forever. The accident put an end to public confidence in airships as a means of transportation and abruptly closed the airship era call, an undoubtedly shocking image. On June 5, 1989, a single act of defiance unfolded on Chang'an Avenue, Beijing, an image that would forever etch itself into history. It was the day after the Tiananmen Square massacre, a moment of profound tension and uncertainty. Amidst the aftermath, a lone figure emerged, standing resolute against overwhelming power. This is the story of the Tank Man, a symbol of courage and individual resistance. The photograph captures an anonymous man, dressed simply in a white shirt and dark pants. He walks calmly, a shopping bag in hand, down the vast expanse of Chang'an Avenue. Before him, an imposing column of 14 military tanks advanced, a stark display of state control. These tanks were moving to reassert authority after weeks of fervent pro-democracy protests. The air was thick with the weight of recent events, a city grappling with its future. Yet, in this chaotic landscape, one man chose to stand still, a beacon of quiet strength. As the lead tank approached, he stepped directly into its path, blocking its advance. The tank halted, a moment of disbelief, a pause in the relentless march of machinery. He moved to block the second tank, then the third, a ballet of defiance against steel. In an astonishing display, he climbed onto the lead tank, engaging with the soldiers inside. His words, though unheard, spoke volumes about the human spirit's refusal to yield. He was eventually pulled away by onlookers, his act of resistance complete, yet immortalized. Photographers, hidden from view, risked everything to capture this extraordinary scene. Jeff Widner, Stuart Franklin, and others secretly documented history unfolding. They hid their film, knowing the immense significance of what they had witnessed. Their bravery ensured that this pivotal moment would not be erased from memory. The Tank Man became an instant, universal symbol of civil resistance. He embodied the power of one individual to challenge an oppressive system. His image resonated globally, inspiring countless acts of peaceful protest. It reminded the world that even in the face of overwhelming force, O.P. Perseus, his anonymity only amplified his message, making him a hero for all. The legacy of the Tank Man endures, a timeless testament to human courage. It serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of individual defiance and the unwavering pursuit of freedom and justice against all odds. His silent protest continues to echo, a beacon for generations to come. The Tank Man lives on, an eternal symbol of hope and resistance. The photograph, Migrant Mother, captured by Dorothea Lange in 1936, became the quintessential visual icon of the Great Depression in the United States. At the time, Lange was working for the Farm Security Administration, a government program. It was created to document and bring visibility to the extreme poverty affecting thousands of farming families. During her journey through Nipamo, California, she encountered Florence Owens Thompson and her children in a crowded camp of agricultural workers. Their lives had been devastated by the total loss of the pea crops. Years later, Lange would recall feeling drawn toward that hungry and desperate mother as if by a magnet. She took 5 photographs, moving closer each time, without Thompson asking any questions. One of these images spread rapidly through newspapers and magazines, becoming a universal symbol of the suffering and resilience of migrant farmers. According to Lange's account, the family survived on frozen vegetables from the fields and wild birds caught by the children. Lange even claimed that Thompson had sold the tires from her car to buy food. However, decades later, Thompson denied this version of events, asserting that they had not spoken to each other. She claimed certain details were misinterpreted or embellished. Beyond the myth, her story remains a testament to an era defined by both precariousness and human dignity. The photograph Earthrise, identified as AS814 2383HR, was taken on December 24, 1968, by astronaut William Anders. This iconic image was captured during the historic Apollo 8 mission. At 75 hours and 49 minutes into the flight, the spacecraft was orbiting the moon. It was then, at approximately 1640, that Anders captured one of the most influential images in history. The photograph shows the lunar surface in the foreground, rough and desolate. Meanwhile, the Earth rises over the horizon, partially cast in shadow, suspended like a fragile blue sphere in the vastness of space. Although Apollo 8 did not land on the moon, its passage through lunar orbit was crucial. This allowed for an unprecedented perspective of our planet to be recorded. The impact of this image was, without a doubt, profound. In 2003, Life magazine included it among the 100 photographs that changed the world, highlighting its emotional resonance during an especially turbulent year for the United States. For Life, the image taken on Christmas Eve 1968 invited reflection on the vulnerability of humanity and our place in the vast cosmos. Since then, this photograph has been considered a symbol of the birth of environmental awareness and the interconnection of all life on Earth. Gerard Molly's iconic photograph captures one of the most transformative moments of the 20th century, the fall of the Berlin Wall. Taken on November 11, 1989. The image shows numerous West Berliners gathered in front of the wall in the early hours of the morning, watching as East German border guards begin to demolish a section of the structure near Potsdamer Platz. The photograph conveys a mixture of disbelief, exhilaration, and hope from a population that had been divided for decades by a physical and political symbol of the global confrontation between blocs. The context of the moment is essential to understanding its historical power. The fall of the wall had begun 2 days earlier, on November 9, 1989, following a popular uprising that overwhelmed the East German socialist regime. For nearly 30 years, the wall represented the Iron Curtain, the most visible dividing line of the Cold War. Its opening and subsequent demolition not only allowed for free movement between East and West Berlin, but also marked the beginning of the end of the confrontation between East and West. 3 weeks later, the end of the Cold War was proclaimed, and less than a year later, Germany was reunified. The famous photograph known as the Afghan Girl is one of the most recognizable and powerful works of modern photojournalism. Taken in 1984 by Steve McCurry, The image shows a young girl with a piercing gaze and intense green eyes. She is wrapped in a worn red scarf, her expression captivating and full of untold stories. Initially, her identity remained unknown. In early 2002, she was confirmed as Sharbet Gula, a 12-year-old Pashtun girl. She was living in the Nosirbog refugee camp in Pakistan, a place of refuge for many. Her family had fled Afghanistan to escape the war caused by the Soviet invasion, seeking safety. Published on the cover of National Geographic in June 1985, the photograph quickly became a symbol of Afghanistan's humanitarian crisis. It represented the situation of millions of refugees during the Cold War, giving a face to the crisis. Its impact was so profound that it was dubbed the Mona Lisa of the Third World. It was compared to the Renaissance masterpiece for the emotional intensity of her expression. Over the years, the image of Sharbat Gula became a global icon, representing resilience. It symbolized the vulnerability and dignity of a people caught in international conflicts. Joe Rosenthal's iconic photograph of the flag being raised on Iwo Jima, taken February 23, 1945, is one of World War II's most enduring images. It captures 5 U.S. Marines and a Navy corpsman raising the United States flag atop Mount Suribachi during the intense battle. The image symbolizes the sacrifice, determination, and the unity of the U.S. military in one of the Pacific War's bloodiest confrontations. It had an immediate impact, was widely reproduced, and earned Rosenthal the Pulitzer Prize, becoming a globally recognized war photograph. However, this iconic photo is also marked by profound tragedy. Of the 6 men depicted, 3 were killed in combat shortly afterward. The survivors became public figures, utilized in propaganda campaigns to raise crucial support and funds for the ongoing war effort. Years later, Marine Corps investigators clarified that one individual originally identified was not actually present in the photo. This powerful image inspired the Marine Corps War Memorial in Arlington, preserving its historical and symbolic significance for generations. The photograph of Nelson Mandela raising his fist alongside his wife Winnie on February 11, 1990, became a universal symbol of freedom, resistance, and hope. After 27 years of imprisonment under the brutal apartheid regime, Mandela emerged from Victor Vesta prison as a transformed leader. Determined and ready to guide South Africa into a new era. The image, captured by South African photographer Greg English for the Associated Press, summarizes in a single moment the moral victory of an entire people over decades of segregation, violence, and racial oppression. The context was historic. Apartheid was beginning to collapse, and President F.W. de Klerk had announced decisive reforms, including Mandela's release. The world watched closely as thousands gathered outside the prison, eager to witness a moment many believed impossible. After days of uncertainty and exhaustion, English managed to capture a series of photographs amid the chaos and the crowd. One of them stood out Mandela and Winnie smiling, holding hands, and raising their fists. It was the perfect image of a collective rebirth. Even today, it represents the strength of human dignity in the face of oppression and the beginning of the end of apartheid. As you can see, over time, these images have not only captured moments, they have captured emotions. Each of them reminds us that history is not only written, but also immortalized in a single instant. Tell me now, which of these photographs you found the most shocking? Remember that if this video was to your liking, give it a like and share it for more people to see. Follow me on my social networks to make this community grow more. And with nothing else to add, see you in the next video.